Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle. She's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement, then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the AnomicAge, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the AnomicAge, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the JohnAge project at AnomicAge.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't it?
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
Selling real and Chevy.
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the JohnAge Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the AnomicAge. I am your host, JohnAge. Happy to be back in the main seat. It's been a couple days, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being with me and hanging out with me for a couple hours, and we'll continue a lovely conversation. Before we do, check out AnomicAge.com. If you have not already done so, it looks a little like this. PayPal.me/AnomicAge. Patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. Those are the best two ways to help me out. We got a Cash App link, and we've also got a Buy Me a Cup of Coffee link. Satoshi, so much more. Free newsletter, iPhone app, Android app. It's all there at AnomicAge.com, so check it out. All right. We're going to jump right into it today. My voice is a little whacked out. I'm coughing. I'm blowing my nose. It's dreadful out here. I'm obviously under some sort of demonic attack. We've got these horrible spores of Satan everywhere in North Carolina. It's pollen everywhere. It's just dreadful. It's getting warm again. It's downright horrible. Satanic even. Hellish, I tell you. So since we're moving back into the most hellish times of the year, that'll be about 9 months out of the year here in NC. It's horrible. Everybody's sick again. Everybody's blowing their nose, and that's where I am. So I sincerely hope you're in a colder climate with less of this, demonic attacks and stuff that I'm going through. But I'm gonna try to put out some shows here. Actually had like a backlog of like 4 shows I wanted to put out, but it's hard to do when you're blowing your nose and coughing. It just doesn't look professional, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't look professional at all. Nevertheless, we're going to do it today. Got a great show, and we're going to jump in. It's going to be on Glenn Danzig. What? Glenn Danzig is persona non grata. Let's pull it on the screen here. Glenn, persona non grata. Glenn Danzig's being canceled, folks. It's just, it's hilarious, almost, until you realize, you're not living in a wide awake nightmare. It's not a dream. This is our reality. This is the reality that we live in. So, title of tonight's episode, Danzig evokes cancel culture. He sure does, folks. Apparently. Let me pull up the Livewire link. Fans call out Danzig over Nazi symbol on merch. In case you hadn't missed it, we're at April 1st. This was April 30th, 2025, year of our Lord. Multiple Reddit threads across multiple subreddits. Reddits and subreddits, huh? Have popped up over the last 24 hours with photos of a piece of Danzig merchandise featuring the Black Sun. The Black Sun? What is this, some sort of cultural appropriation? Is that what the problem was? The Black Sun? Did Glenn not properly call it Son of Color or something? I don't know. Is that what the deal is? No. Otherwise known as the Sun Wheel. Oh my gosh. The Sun Wheel or Sunrod symbol, according to the Anti-Defamation League, coming through to mess you up. I cleaned that up a little bit for you. Yeah, the symbol is one of numerous. They said a number of them. I'm saying numerous because it sounds better. One of a number of ancient European symbols appropriated by the Nazis in their attempt to invent an idealized Aryan Norse heritage. So there's that. Cough number 1. Anyway, so yeah, apparently Glenn's in hot water with the Anti-Defamation League. Oh my goodness. Man, those folks are never at the heart of any sort of skullduggery or buffoonery or stupidity, now are they? No, they're the ADL. So there's that. And here's what really irks me, man. I love Danzig, by the way. I love the Misfits. I love Danzig. I was never really a big Sam Hain fan, but I digress. It's always rules for thee, but not for me, with these communist pieces of bottom feeder refuse. That's really, it should be their moniker in it. Rules for thee, but not for me. Because here's what's up, folks. It's always just tongue-in-cheek humor. It's always cheeky fun, isn't it? It's always just a joke. When you hear, see, and otherwise are subjected to the most vile filth from these pieces of human refuse, these bipedal duffel bags of creepy, when they're out here talking about children and when they're showing their Podesta art and when they're making the jokes, The Rock on Saturday Night Live with his very child so friendly, not so silent, remarks, and then you've got, of course, these very odd posts and everything by everyone's favorite actor. That's all okay. But when anyone else does it, oh my goodness gracious sakes alive, and then you are persona non grata, you're the worst thing in the world, we're going to cancel you, we're going to have articles about you, we're going to do everything else in the world about you. And here's another element that really irks me on this whole nonsense. Is it's only bad if it's somehow disparaging to God's chosen people. That's the only time that it's bad. By it, I mean anything. You see, you can have disparaging art towards anyone else, so it would seem. But in the last 10 years, I guess we have an entire culture predicated on this nonsensical victimhood. So now there's an entire culture. There's several different tiers of the ladder of protected classes. But the most protected class of all protected classes, of course, is the chosen ones. It's so weird, though, because here's what's up, folks. Let me see if I can pull this up. There's a scary shirt, and I am horrified to even put it on the screen. I mean, good night, nurse. It sure is offensive. But this wasn't offensive. Here's Glenn. And when I saw Danzig, it was probably like 20 years ago. When I saw Danzig, he had a shirt on just like this. And, when the Christians say that something is offensive or bad, well, they just get laughed at and shrugged off. Oh, my goodness, it's the satanic panic again, you see. It's a satanic panic. None of that's real. The McMartin preschool, oh, no, that didn't happen. There's not tunnels under all these Hollywood stars' homes. No. But if you're the chosen people, I guess, then you get canceled. I didn't even pull the artwork up, folks. The Danzig artwork is so ubiquitous, everyone should be able to see this for themselves. So he's wearing a mesh pentagram shirt in this image. The iconography of the Danzig skull and an upside-down cross. He's got necklaces, artwork, and the like. That's very clearly, if not obviously satanic, at least trying to make you think that's where he's going with this. But the symbology, obviously satanic. I don't know what his actual beliefs are. I don't really care. But yeah, his symbolism is an upside-down cross. The Danzig artwork is nothing but skulls and things of that nature. If you look into some of the earlier Danzig stuff, is all H.R. Geiger artwork. Look into the work of H.R. Geiger, obviously from the Alien franchise. His work's very obvious. It's always depicting penises and aliens and satanic iconography. But that's not that bad, because it's just defending Christians. So who really cares? My goodness, I've spilled my water. So that's no big deal. The problem is if it can somehow be construed as offensive to the chosen ones. So that's where it's problematic, Glenn, I tell you. He's also got lovely lyrics from the Misfits, talking about, well, I'll put it on the screen for you. Talking about what the now deceased Jackie O should be doing. So there's that. Again, I don't even have a problem with this, folks. I gotta tell you. It's art for art's sake, and, it's not the Podesta pedophilic art. It's probably not my cup of tea, but hey. Cough number 2. So that's where we're at with this whole thing. So Glenny Boy is getting canceled hard for this, folks. And I'm sure the once tolerant, all-inclusive, we can have any kind of thing on earth movement of punk is now going to shake their little finger and wag it at Glenn. Glenn, you can't be disparaging. You can be disparaging against anyone else except I don't know who. So let me see. We got some more, don't we? We got to talk about this obvious one here. I mean, this whole thing is comedy. This is comedy, folks. That's why it's on April Fool's Day. I wish I could be more comedic. But, yeah, we got Vivienne Westwood. And please look into this if you haven't already done so. I'm darn tempted to go down this deep and just do a bunch of shows on this. The Sex Pistols, their obvious connections to Malcolm McLaren, and their obvious connections to Vivienne Westwood. These aren't debatable. These aren't conspiracies. This is obvious. So the Sex Pistols, in case you missed it, the seminal punk band out of England, were basically put together like a boy band from Malcolm McLaren. Just facts. And the primary person responsible for their look that would become the punk look would be Vivienne Westwood. So Malcolm McLaren, by all accounts, was just some ne'er-do-well nothing. Shacking up with Vivienne Westwood, who owned a store, in England there. It went by different names over the years. Most notably, it was called Sex during the era of the Sex Pistols. And it basically sold, bondage wear and sexual clothing and things of that nature. I'll leave it at that. And so Vivienne Westwood, now a famous fashion designer, I guess, to many people, whatever. She's the one that clad the Sex Pistols. They would get the clothing from her, and she'd make up these outfits and so forth and so on that would go on to become, again, a seminal piece in the movement that would be punk. But the obvious thing here, and I think I just pulled this up here because it was so funny, Vivienne Westwood, Britain must go pagan. This is from Arizona State University a couple years ago. And I would laugh and tongue-in-cheek say, you mean again? When did they not go pagan? But anyway, and this is some of the shirts. I don't know if I can zoom in on this. I don't think I can. Probably the most famous one here with the upside-down crucifix, the Nazi swastika, and destroy over it. Most of these didn't have destroy on them. Many times the Sex Pistols, most notably, Sid Vicious would be just depicted in a Nazi swastika shirt. So then that was just more of the garb. But I guess we were living in a different time in 77. Because it's rules for thee, but not for me. So I guess the Vivienne Westwood clothing would be acceptable as long as it had the upside-down crucifix on it. Take away the crucifix and just go with the Sid Vicious swastika. Now that would be disparaging towards the chosen people, and you would get canceled too now, Sid. I mean, if you weren't dead. So, all these things I just find rather amusing. Very, actually. Very confusing and amusing and just downright silly. Because if you look at the ADL, the Southern Poverty Law Center and the like, you will see that it's filled with the like of the left. The like of the left also tend to be those of the punk rock variety, don't you know? That didn't used to be the case. That didn't used to be the case at all. It used to be a anti-all politic. I assumed it was inclusive of everyone. There were rights, there were lefts, there were in-betweens, and now it seems to be all gone left. It's that old Subhuman song, it's all gone dead. It sure as bleep seems to have all gone dead. Because now, if you step out of the orthodoxy and step out of line, if you will, then the punk rock demigods, I guess, will swoop in and take you away. It's just downright silly, folks. It really is. And I gotta say, I'm thinking that Glenn Danzig is probably laughing about this whole thing. Because it's not as if his shows weren't canceled before. Because the irony upon ironies, his shows were canceled before by the right, you see, because they were too gruesome and too crazy and all this stuff. And then, if you look at the song London Dungeons, that's when the Misfits went to England and got jailed there by the right. See, he's been canceled by the right and the left. You gotta really appreciate how hilarious that is. It really is pretty funny. And it should serve as like holding up a big mirror to both sides as to how stupid this all is. But you see, nothing is lost, or I should say, everything is lost by the brain-dead troglodytes that subscribe to this sort of cancel culture cult. So Glenn has properly so evoked the cancel culture idiots. He's done it on the right and the left, and it's downright humorous. So all in all, I gotta say, you just have to get a chuckle out of this. You really do. Because causing outrage and controversy has been the tenet of punk rock since its inception. Hence the Vivienne Westwood art / clothing that the Sex Pistols wore a la 1977. It was meant to be controversial. That's why their imagery had the Queen Mother with safety pins all in her face. That's why their logo, their font, if you will, looked like ransom letters because it had different letters from different torn documents to form the word Sex Pistols. That's why their name in and of itself was controversial. That's why going down the Thames for the Jubilee, playing God Save the Queen, was controversial. It was meant to be controversial. But now, here we are in 2025, year of our Lord. And Danzig, Glenn Danzig, I mean, one of the godfathers of American punk, in my humble opinion, is getting canceled for, in essence, being punk, for being controversial, for pushing the envelope and offending people. But the big difference now is he's offended the wrong people, I guess. Because if you offend the right, well, you're just some sort of fruitcake. Oh, you're just some sort of satanic panic believer. But I guess if you offend the left, then you become persona non grata. Nobody can touch you. You're forever canceled. You are canceled by the culture you helped create. How blipping hilarious is that? Sickening, folks. Sickening. That's all for right now. You can't do everything. You can't do something. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the AnomicAge. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the AnomicAge, a JohnAge project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to AnomicAge.com. That's AnomicAge.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to the AnomicAge.
Thank you.